DD, looks like you're connected. Can you hear me okay there?
I can. How are you?
Great. I'm impressed by your background. Collecting a lot of horror stuff and action figures.
Oh, yes. Yes. I'm a big Nightmare Before Christmas guy. So I got a ton of shit and lots of stuff. Misfit stuff and Tim Burton toys and whatever other junk I can kind of find. That's kind of in my studio, in my office. That's kind of around everywhere around me, actually.
Yeah, I find that with musicians, there's two schools of thought. One is that you could tell a musician lives there because it's filled with music-related stuff. And the other is like the Paul Stanley kind of thing where there's no photos of his career anywhere. So clearly your house is a museum like ours.
Well, I don't think I have a single thing that would let you know I'm in a band, that I'm in Overkill. I have an acoustic guitar over on the floor, but everything else is kind of toys.
In the best of ways. Well, I'm so glad we connected. I've always known about Overkill, but I didn't know about the rockabilly side of you. And the first thing I heard was Cadillac Man. And that's a cool video, a really cool song. How long was it in the works for that you were going to do this album, Let's Rattle?
Geez. It's kind of like a someday thing. I can remember, God, years and years ago, kind of 3 records I thought I wanted to do. I said, I want to do a doom record because I love that kind of stuff. I want to do a big band record, a swing record. I want to do a punk rock record. And so, kind of just putting things away little by little through the years. This one the songs just started to pile up. Eventually, it kind of just seemed like it was time. It's like, I'm going through things saying, okay, I got one here. I got one here. I start looking, I go, I got about 5 and I got ideas for maybe another 5 or 6. And there's a couple of standards and covers that I'd like to try. It's like, and then it's COVID. So, I have some time now to like kind of dive into this and really go for it. So got just a long time in the works, but now finally out there. I always kind of like this kind of music a lot, especially the Brian Setzer stuff. He was the first one that I saw, maybe even one of the only ones that was mixing some kind of rock and roll with the swing stuff. Some of the other bands like Big Bad Voodoo Daddy or Cherry Poppin' Daddy, it's more kind of a jazzy kind of vibe, not as much the kind of the rock and roll stuff. And I don't know why there's not more of it. To me, it's, it's like with thrash metal, we took punk and metal and combined it. And, you had a ton of bands that jumped on that and said, wow, this is great. But with the kind of the old 50s rock and roll mixed with swing, I can only think of maybe Brian Setzer. I'm sure there are other bands too, but not a lot that kind of, I don't know why, but I always loved it. So.
Yeah, not to harp too much on Brian Setzer comparisons, because you did collaborate with some of the people that he has over the years. With Cadillac Man, the first time I heard it, I went, that reminds me of Brian Setzer's collaboration on the Clash song Rumble and Bryden. And I went, this guy nailed it, where you got the swinging rhythm section with the horns and the backing vocals added in per se. Now, when I hear that song, it sounds like it's pretty much live basic tracks, and then you overdub the horns and the backing vocals. Is that true that in the studio is almost live?
Yeah, we didn't have a chance. God, we recorded it so long ago. I had working with John Hatton, who is in Setzer's band, and he did all the horn arrangements. Well, for the most part, did most of the horn arrangements on the record. So we went kind of back and forth. He lives out in LA, file sharing. And when the songs were kind of buttoned up and we were looking to record, he said, why don't you come out here? I'm here. I can find a drummer that I've worked with. That's how we got Tony, who also played in Setzer's band, Tony Pia. And he knew a horn section that he had worked with out there. So I'm like, well, that makes more sense. So I just flew out there. But till then, we had never gotten a room and played the songs. There was no jamming. There was no, and it would have been even nice to kind of put everybody in the same room and play, which we didn't get to do either. We did the drums and the bass in 2 days, and they played together. John and Tony played together with just the scratch tracks and vocals that I had on tape. They recorded all that stuff. Then we had the horns in for the next day. The horn guys was like a 12-hour day. I mean, they were, it was a long day for the horn guys, but they got most of it done. And then I did some, MIDI horns to kind of layer it in there. It's making a record, kind of filling it up a little bit. So we had a smaller 6-piece horn section, and some of the songs needed a full 13-piece. So we added those in. But yeah, if we do another one, if there's another record, it would be great to be in a room playing, jamming. There always is, even, when we do the Overkill stuff, we've done records where it's just file sharing. Mm-hmm. And the difference between just getting the guys together for even just a few days is night and day. It really kind of takes it to another level just to get in the room and kind of knock them around for a little bit. So we'll see.
Sure. Did you even bother giving the album to Nuclear Blast for them to listen to, or did you just know outright, like, no, not for them?
I think we did. I was working with Jeff, who's my manager, and I think he might have went to them just thinking that, well, it's not going to be on Nuclear Blast, but maybe they had a subsidiary or some other side company that I was not even aware of. We tried to keep it. I just assumed that, the heavy metal world would just have nothing to do with this in any way. But I've told people before, the response I got from them was unbelievable. I had so many guys in bands calling me saying, wow, this is unbelievable. I'm really digging this. I'm really liking this. A lot of the Overkill fans and the pages and the response I've got has been unbelievably positive. And I'm like, who would have known? I mean, really? You're digging this? But hey, energy is energy, I think, and if you feel like kind of that groove, you either click on it or, click with it, relate to it, or you don't.
Yeah, I think it's interesting what you just said, where you weren't sure who was going to like it per se. And if you go on the metal side projects kind of thing, Metallica and Lou Reed Lulu is kind of like the watermark for like what you don't do for your fan base. That was too out there. And then this is choruses and the most appealing melodic stuff ever. It's more a wonder of who wouldn't like this from where I stand. And when you really dig into it, a lot of metal people have tried to do a more 50s rock and roll thing. I forgot the name of the band that Lemmy had with Slim Jim Phantom from the Stray Cats.
Yeah, that was great. Headcat.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I think that this is exactly what all the metal people want to do, but just don't get around to doing it. So it's great that you actually did it. You said at the beginning this was a someday thing. So is that like a 5-year thing, a 10-year thing, a 20-year thing?
Probably 20, maybe even longer. The first song I wrote was a song called Manhattan Baby. That's on the record. That's more like a really big bandy kind of Louis Prima kind of a song. And I wrote that for my daughter when she was born, who's about to turn 27. So that was kind of like the first one where I tried a song. And I said, that's okay. And then there was another occasion where I was writing a song for my wife. And it kind of turned into a 50s big bandy kind of thing. I don't know why. And I was like, okay. And that was put aside. And my other daughter, she got a little bit older and she was like, where's my song? So, okay, here's another song. Her name's Olivia. So that was our second. Too. Yeah. Yeah. So that was the next video. And I had that aside. And so those songs just kind of kept coming out as kind of swinging kind of songs. And like I said, I had a bunch of stuff put aside. So God, just a lot of years of putting stuff aside. Now, it's the old saying too, even with a band, you have 30 years to do your first record, right? And then you have 2 years to do your second. Yeah. So even my manager's like, he's like, I already know you have ideas put aside for another one. I'm like, yeah, of course, you know me. There's already stuff stashed on the side. Once you get a kind of a taste of something that's fun to do as a songwriter, it's like, oh yeah, I know how to get this better, and I have some great ideas for it. So someday down the line, hopefully someday's not another 30 years. My God, I'll be 90. We'll get to another one, which would be fun to do, I think, as well.
And you mentioned the name Louis Prima, and that sprung to mind. David Lee Roth did Just a Gigolo, which was a Louis Prima track. And of course, Van Halen did Big Bad Billy's Sweet William Now, which is basically like an unrock kind of version of what you're doing. So
I didn't even know that one.
Oh, that's on Diver Down. That's a really weird old-timey track that is a clarinet solo by Eddie Van Halen's dad.
Wow. No, I don't know that one. All right. I'll have to go kind of knock around. But even Ice Cream Man you know, way back is, you know, kind of just a 3-chord rock and roll song, you know, and David Lee Roth, I think, also did That's Life.
Yes.
Right. He covered that. And so he's got some of that. Well, I mean, you can even see in the video stuff. He's just like a kind of a Vegas knock around screwball, you know what I mean? But he's got a little bit of that too. And people dug those songs, you know. They were done more of a rock version than what I'm doing, but they were cool too.
And so back to you here, and not just Van Halen, because I could talk about Van Halen for 5 hours, but I won't. So to make it clear, Overkill is not done. This is just a break in a passion project.
Oh God, no. Overkill, we're right in the middle of doing an Overkill record right now too. The thing was, I had finished writing that musically. Oh God, like in probably at the beginning of the year, like January. And so, you know, we were all stranded. We weren't going to be able to do shows. We weren't going to be doing anything. So I had a lot of time on my hands to kind of work on stuff and be able to jump in and do stuff. And meanwhile, you know, I'm going back and forth right now with Dave on files that are going back and forth on guitar. Blitz is going to be kind of jumping in soon. We have a show actually in the middle of November here in Jersey, which is a makeup show we were on tour when COVID hit, and we had to cancel our Jersey show. It's like, oh God, a hometown show. We hate having to cancel that one. But
right. So
now it's whatever it is, 600 days later, we're making up the show as a one-off. And, you know, everybody is totally, like, I had a show with Cadillac Band on October 30th, the end of the month. And then 2 weeks later, I have an Overkill show. And so I said, I have 2 shows. I haven't played a show in 2 years with 2 different things. So pretty excited about doing some stuff again. I actually have first rehearsals for Cadillac Band, maybe tomorrow. Yeah, it might be tomorrow. And I haven't gotten in a room with the guys and anybody and jammed or played. And, you know, I've just been locked in the studio. So that's exciting to just play real music again with guys and players.
Yeah, the man is keeping busy. Well, 2 quick questions, then you're a free man. And the first one is there a TV recommendation that you could pass along to someone who needs new show to start?
We watch a lot of stuff. Probably the last one I saw that I loved, but it's, you know, it's old. I'm always like kind of late to the party, but Peaky Blinders.
Sure.
Yeah, I've been watching that one lately. I absolutely love that show. I don't know, what else did we really love? There was another show we watched called, I've been watching a lot of British ones lately. I watched Mr. Selfridge. That was a British show. And then we watched a lot of British TV lately. I don't know why. We're just kind of in the groove of that one. But Peaky Blinders is a great one. I really like that one a lot.
There you go. And the closer. As somebody who has made a career out of music and a long-term career at that, I usually ask people in closing any last words for the kids. Some people just go, brush your teeth, do your homework. But in your case, again, you made a career out of it. You're a lifer. Whether or not you set out to be a lifer when you were 20, you are. So any last words for the kids there, Dee?
For the kids, well, I get, obviously for us doing it so long, we get asked that question a lot. And everybody's going to choose their own thing. But for me, looking back on it, the fact that I burned the bridge behind me there was no safety net. There was no, I could circle back to this. It was only forward. I look back on that and I say, probably that helped with some drive, because it was either drown or float. And while maybe that, I don't recommend that to everybody, because, you know, my parents, just like everybody's parents, screamed, you got to have a safety net. You got to have a safety net. But, you know, for me, it was 24 hours a day. Even now, my kids are, you know, in their 20s going to college and that kind of thing. And it's like, I don't even think I knew through my 20s when we were really with me. I don't even think I know who the president was, or, you know, who was forget the governor or what. It's like, are you kidding me? I had no clue. All I knew about 24 hours a day was music. And I had to work a job in between to have enough money to put gas in my car so that I could go to rehearse at night. But that was the only reason I was even doing that. So that kind of blinders on thing helped me. So maybe it helps somebody else too.
Great answer. Well, congratulations on getting this album done. Anyone can say, I'm going to do this, but not everybody does it. So you did, and hope to see you live in New York when the time comes.
Yes.
The wife is from Jersey. We don't get to Jersey as much as we want, but when you're in New York, we'll be there.
We're looking at some shows in the city right now, so you keep your eyes open for that.
Awesome. Have a great rest of the day, and thanks for taking the time.
Paltrocast.